Hello everyone, it is Jayden and welcome to The Alpha, the show where we talk about the hottest topics in pop culture and sports. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button on the video, and if you enjoy my commentary and myself truly as always, be sure to tap that subscribe button and to hit that notification bell to get notified when all my videos go live. I love you guys so much. Peace, love, and positivity always, y'all. See ya. It was okay. It didn't live up to the hype that it really should have lived up to, and we're talking about the Eagles and the Chiefs here. This game was more about the Chiefs than anything, because this is a very appalling stat for the Chiefs and all of the Chiefs fans around. This is the first time ever that Patrick Mahomes has been 0-2 in his career. This is the first time he has been 0-2, well, career in the NFL rather, because they said this is the first time he's been 0-2 since high school. So this is uncharted territory for the Kansas City Chiefs. And, you know, I never made a video about it, and I never talked about the Chargers and Chiefs game from last week, but I was very concerned given how lackluster the offense was in all facets against the Chargers, and this pretty much boiled over into this game. Because you have a team with Travis Kelce as your primary target, and older Travis Kelce, who is just... he's taught about how he's just not been 100% locked in, and he's want to, get better about it. It's not showing on the football field because the frustrations that he's said on his New Heights podcast about him not being locked in is showing on the field. With him being your number one target, it's not a good idea. Travis Kelce is just not the number one guy anymore. And we saw this put into action with the interception that Patrick Mahomes threw. That was a huge play and was a momentum shift. Patrick Mahomes, he ran an angle route pretty much. Patrick Mahomes threw the ball on time. Perfect window. Travis Kelce was just lazy on the route. He was slow. He had no type of just get about him. He wasn't determined at all to get the ball. And by the time he turned his head and the ball was already in his hands, it's like he was shot that the ball was there. I don't think Travis Kelce is firing on all cylinders. And so for him to be your number one option, and I know Travis, and Patrick Mahomes has been forcing Travis Kelce to be the number one option. I just think for the future of the Kansas City Chiefs, that cannot be their number one option. Travis Kelce cannot. So Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy cannot get healthy fast enough for this Chiefs team. Because without those two, the Kansas City Chiefs on offense looks absolutely abysmal. Patrick Mahomes does not look comfortable in this offense. Even with an improved offensive line, improved tackle play, with Josh Simmons on the left side of the left tackle position, he does not look comfortable in the pocket. The ball that he threw with 3 minutes left in the game, which he eventually threw another one to, I think the guy was name was number 80, he's Thornton or whatever his name is. He got his redemption back, but that ball that he threw 12, 15 yards away from him, that is super uncharacteristic of Patrick Mahomes. It's just the Chiefs are not chiefing at the moment. They do not look like the Kansas City Chiefs who have been to, 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls? I may have that wrong, or is it 5 of the last 5 out of the last 6 AFC Championship games, 1 or 2? I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they've looked bad. They have been devoid of weapons. What did they have on the offensive side of the ball when they were going to these Super Bowls? You had the Rashee Rice, you had the Tyreek Hill, you had Travis Kelce in his prime. They don't have that. You have Thornton out there at the wide receiver position. Juju Smith-Schuster. Even though Juju made one of the biggest plays, against the Eagles in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, Juju is not considered. He's just, to put in Shannon Sharp's words, he's a jag. He's just a guy. So the Chiefs, and I'm not writing off the Chiefs just yet. And I know a lot of people are wanting to do that because, it's uncharted territory or 0-2. I get it. But I want to see the Chiefs with Rashee Rice when he comes back week 7. And I want to see him with Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think there's a stat out right now that says all 3 of them have not took a snap together yet since they've been there. So I'm looking forward to what that looks like. And I want to see how comfortable Patrick Mahomes becomes in the offense and in his play when they all come back. And then I will be ready to write the Chiefs off. They don't have the worst schedule. Granted, it's not the easiest and it's not the hardest. It's pretty much in the middle. Even though they are down 1-2, Vegas still has them as the top 5 odds, fifth best odds to win a Super Bowl. And I think they have like the second or third best odds to win the AFC. So if Vegas still says the Chiefs have a shot, the Chiefs still have a shot. And I'm not writing off Patrick Mahomes. He's too good. He's too great. And I believe him and Andy Reid can figure it out. I just can see from what I can see. And another thing that I did forget as well, their running game. They can't run the football. If the Chiefs want to be successful, Patrick Mahomes cannot be your leading rusher. He cannot. It's unacceptable for the best quarterback in the league being your number one rusher because that's not his game. He's not Lamar Jackson. He can throw the football. That is what Patrick Mahomes wants to do first, is throw the football. And he has not been able to do that because they can't run the football. To pull up the stats here, and this just puts into perspective how horrific they were running the ball on Sunday. Kareem Hunt had 8 carries for 31 yards, averaged 3.9 yards per carry. Pacheco, running in quicksand, 10 rushes for 22 yards, 2 yards a carry. And Patrick Mahomes, he averaged almost 10 yards a carry. That you cannot have that. Patrick Mahomes cannot be your leading rusher. And Kansas City has got to be able to run the ball. So these are things that the running game is something that I don't know if they will be able to fix because it is just absolutely shocking and appalling that their rushing is that bad given an improved O-line. So maybe that is just something that Andy Reid and the running specialist and the schemer for the play caller for the Kansas City Chiefs on offense with Andy Reid scheme-wise, maybe they can scheme up some better runs. I just don't know. I'm not quite understanding why the Chiefs are not running the ball as well. But the passing game, I think that can get better with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy on the way. Now let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, I do not understand this team. They play so bad. And, well, I wouldn't say so bad. They play so mediocre, but yet they find a way to win. It's just the Philadelphia Eagles way to play. But this is not a Philadelphia Eagles team that won the Super Bowl last year. They are not the offensive firepower that they were last year under Kellen Moore. Even on defense, they do not show the same tenacity that they showed last year. Even how bad they demoralizingly beat the Chiefs last year in the Super Bowl, this game should have been won by the Chiefs if it weren't for mental self-inflicted errors. Missed field goal, Travis Kelce interception, Patrick Mahomes missing throws, things like that were uncharacteristic of a Chiefs team. They should have beat the Eagles because the Eagles offensively has been putrid. Jalen Hurts threw for 100 yards. And there was a very, very interesting stat. And I'm going to get to it here in a minute. And now that I talked about it, I got everything ready for my pre-show. Oh, yeah, here we go. Jalen Hurts has 2 completions of 10-plus yards in 2 games. That's tied with Tyrod Taylor for 34th in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles are literally not throwing the ball down the field. When you have receivers like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, and Mitchie. And Dallas Goedert, even though Dallas Goedert was out in this game. But this is the type of personnel the Eagles have at their disposal. And they have not been able to generate any type of offense. Now, their OC, he's new. Jalen Hurts has had a different OC almost every year. But if the Eagles want to have any shot, and granted, they're in the mix, and I'm not going to say have a shot, but they're in the mix for sure. But if they have any hope of even repeating, getting to the Super Bowl again, they got to improve this offense because this is not a NFC Championship winning offense. It's not. It's not an NFC Championship winning offense, and it's definitely not a Super Bowl winning offense. It's just not. A.J. Brown, the passing game, non-existent. Devontae Smith caught 4 balls for 53. A.J. Brown had 5 catches for 27 yards. He was pretty much running 4-yard hitches all game. Was not pushing the ball down the field. I mean, these passing stats are absolutely horrific. Granted, they're still able to run the ball, but the Philadelphia has to get their offense together in order to win this game, in order to win a Super Bowl. And it's very appalling that their offense is this bad, and they have the best O-line in the NFL. Every time Jalen Hurts drops back to pass, and in this game as well, he had all the time in the world to do what he wanted to do without either running away with the ball or complete a pass. And in this game, and even the game last week against Dallas, there are so many times where Jalen Hurts is dropping back to pass. He has all day to throw the ball, but yet he never ends up throwing the ball to anybody because nobody is getting open. I don't know if that's got to be with scheme because this is the same personnel from last year. Something has got to give with the offense. Defensively, they're okay. Jalen Carter was back. They were able to put some pressure on the quarterback. They had no pressure against Dak. I don't think the back end is as good as everybody makes it out to be. I think Quinyon Mitchell he's okay. I think he's a little overrated. Cooper DeJean doesn't get the ball through to him a lot because he's in the slot. They got to get some guys over. If they want to compete again, they are going to have to get support over there at the other cornerback position. And they need a pass rush. I think without Jalen Carter, their pass rush is pretty non-existent. But let's get to the questionable thing of all. The Tush Push. Now, I've talked about a Tush Push before. Because I was one of those who wanted this play gone. Because I think the Tush Push isn't a football play. It's ugly. It's a stupid looking play. And let's be honest. It's not a play that is correctly formed. It's not lined up correctly per the NFL rules. Number one, the center cannot be covering the football. That is the first thing that the Eagles do every time they line up for this play, and they do it wrong. Another rule, you're not able to push a running back behind the back per rule. It's not allowed, yet the Eagles do it. And another thing that was on front and center in this game, they false start every single time they run it. Every single time. I wish I had the video. I don't want to show it because I'm not 100% sure that it's even going to be in picture. And I saw because I actually bookmarked a lot of these tweets to be able to go back and show them to you guys. They've been deleted by the NFL and by most, they've been copyright claimed because they don't want people to see it. The guards, Lane Dickerson and the other guard on the right side of the center, the right guard, they false started almost every single time running this play. And Tom Brady, he acknowledged it. Dean Blandino, he even said it was it's the worst play to officiate because you can't officiate it. Because if you guys were still tuned into the game there at the end, I was sitting there tuned out of the game. I was actually helping my girlfriend make some cookies and things. I was getting prepped for the next game for Sunday night because, I was watching these games to make the show. And there was like something crazy going on that I have not seen with a Tush Push. And, Tyler, I think is it Tyler Tranquil? But Tranquil, the linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs, he ends up with the ball at the end of the pile, and the whole Kansas City Chiefs was sitting there like, oh, it's our ball, it's our ball. And the officials were just sitting around looking like, what's the call? Like, well, I don't know who's got the ball. The play is just bad. You can't see the football when Jalen Hurts gets it. You're just, as an official, and I can say this because I am an official. I officiate football. I'm a line judge. I see these things on a weekly basis. I am a referee of football. And I can just tell from the play, the referees have a horrific an absolutely horrific time at seeing the football. They got to pretty much guesstimate where Jalen Hurts' forward progress has stopped. And when does the forward progress stop? I don't know, because when they run the tush push, they get stuck, and then Jalen Hurts, they're getting pushed from the back, and they end up, it's just a bad play to officiate. And it was on front and center on the broadcast in that game. Roger Goodell was in attendance. And these are things that Roger Goodell and the NFL are going to see in this game, and they're going to get feedback. The tush push, and this is more importantly because the owners have to vote on the tush push getting banned. But let's just put into perspective that only 2 votes, they were 2 votes short. 2 more votes were needed to outlaw the tush push. It was just short. And even with Diana Rossini and all the credible reporters at The Athletic, everybody was saying that it was, before they got to actual results, everybody thought it was pretty much a done deal that the tush push was cooked. It was basically Jeffrey Lurie and Jason Kelce going in there last minute and was just giving their point of view on everything. And it pretty much, I guess, maybe convinced 2 of them to back out and save the tush push for another year. But I promise you, going into owner meetings in Orlando in the offseason, this puppy here is done. Roger Goodell wants it gone. He's been on the line. He's been on the record saying that he does not want this play in the league. He just doesn't. I don't know much about the administrative side of things. I don't even understand why Roger Goodell doesn't have no say-so already. I don't know why it needs owner's approval. I guess, I don't know much behind the scenes of all that stuff. I'm not that deep in the industry to know this sort of information. But I can tell you right now, the tush push, it's not a football play. It's illegal. But even though I'm on a rant about this, it wasn't the ultimate reason why the Chiefs lost. The Chiefs lost because they were not able to get rid of their self-inflicted wounds. Missed field goals, interceptions. Bad play. That 4th and 1 that Andy Reid went for on his own side of the field to come out of halftime, that was an absolutely dumb decision. I know he was probably wanting some juice for the offense coming out of the half, but that was a bad decision as well. It's just self-inflicted wounds was the reason why the Chiefs lost that game, but it wasn't the Eagles. But the one thing with the Philadelphia Eagles that I can say, no matter how ugly it is, no matter how good it is, they know how to come up with a win. Jalen Hurts is a winner. And I didn't know if I want to talk about it and just save it, and we're just going to go ahead and talk about it here. There was this viral clip going around about, Chris Jones saying at the end of the game where Jalen Hurts and them were kneeling the ball, and then, they got him on the hot mic. Chris Jones like, man, you didn't even have 100 yards. And then Jalen Hurts was, on the mic saying, it don't matter, we won the game. There's a whole lot of expletives going on in those conversations. But it's just the thing you got to love about Jalen Hurts. It's something you got to respect about the Eagles. Led by Nick Sirianni. They're gritty. No matter how pretty it is, they stick to their game plan. Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. He's going to do whatever it takes for his team to win. He is the ultimate winner. Jalen Hurts would rather have 50 yards passing and win the game than have 350 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions and lose. That game that Russell Wilson had, where he threw 3 touchdowns, 450 yards, Jalen Hurts don't want that game. He'd rather have that game that he had against Kansas City on Sunday, where he had 100 yards passing, and I don't even think Jalen Hurts accounted for a touchdown. No touchdowns. That's the type of player that Jalen Hurts is, and you gotta respect it, and I respect it as well. And that is something that you want in your football team, but we're not going to get all deep into that. That's pretty much my takeaway from the Eagles. I think the Eagles, they are contenders in the NFC. They are a top 3 team in the NFC right now. I don't think they're a top 3 team in the NFL. I would definitely have the Packers ahead of them so far. Maybe the Ravens, just because I think the Ravens offensively have looked way superior, and I probably could maybe trust their defense just a little bit more, and the Bills for sure, and maybe even the Chargers. So I don't think the Eagles is a top 3 team in the NFL, but they are a top 3 team in the NFC, and they're going to be contending. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, they're 0-2 right now. The Chargers are 2-0 after last night's victory against the Raiders. The Broncos, they missed a huge opportunity to go 2-0 as well. So they're in the Chiefs are not in that big of a hole. If they can muster up some wins and just get Rashee Rice and everybody back, they'll be ready to go. But that's pretty much all I got about the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs in that game. I want to know all of your comments down below.